Yesterday, No Time to Die hit theaters, and I thought it'd be fun to sit down and rank every single Daniel Craig James Bond film and the theme songs that go with them. Now, I haven't seen every single James Bond film. I've seen about 10 or 11, which is still quite a lot, so that's why I'm only ranking the Daniel Craig ones. One day, I want to rank every single Bond movie, but who knows when the next one will come out and all that. But I thought it'd be cool to kind of split the video into two parts, kind of have the movies started off, and then talk about the songs and rank them differently. Obviously, I feel different about the songs. My ranking for the songs is different from my ranking of the movies. So the video will be mostly about the movies, but I still do want to talk about the songs because I love a lot of them here. But let's start off the list. Coming in last place for me is obviously Quantum of Solace, and this is a very meh movie. Now, we have all these tiers here, and I just made them up, but Quantum of Solace really disappointed me. It's probably one of the most disappointing experiences I've had with a movie because I love Casino Royale. Obviously, you'll see that on this list here, but Quantum of Solace is easily in last place. Whenever somebody compares Spectre to this one, I genuinely don't get it. If they compare No Time to Die to this one, I really don't get it. Skyfall obviously is the only other one I didn't mention there. But when it started and it was all really close up and the action was all choppy and all this, I was like, oh god, are we gonna do this for the whole movie? And yeah, it is only an hour and 45, but they really continue that throughout the entire film. It's just filled with terrible action. Of course, Daniel Craig is great as Bond. The villain is just so weak, Green or whatever they call him. The idea of a direct sequel to Casino Royale is a really interesting idea, but I just did not at all like the delivery of this one. This one is easily the weakest one out of all of Daniel Craig's films. And next up is a movie that I feel like it's way too much hate, and that is of course Spectre. I'm gonna put it in the like it tier because I really do like this movie. I genuinely think it's actually a really good movie. Again, I don't at all see the comparisons between this and Quantum of Solace. I think that it is far better. I think that the so-called Bond girl is much better in this film as well, because I feel like every time I say Bond girl now, it's so different in the Daniel Craig movies versus basically all the other ones, or at least all the other ones I've seen, because they actually feel like awesome characters. And here, I really love the characters. The opening action sequence is amazing. It does not get talked about enough when they're doing barrel rolls and the helicopter. I mean, that is just insane. The movie also looks visually stunning. I think it's one of the best looking Bond films for sure. Again, from what I've seen. Anytime I say something like that, it's just from what I've seen of the movies. I really do enjoy this movie. Yeah, there definitely are problems with it. I did fall asleep watching it the first time, but I was also watching it very late at night, so that was kind of my own problem. I think Christoph Waltz is very good in the movie as a certain character. Won't say in case you haven't seen it. And for me, when I finished the movie, technically for the second time, because I just rewound and just watched everything else, I was like, I don't get why people don't like this movie. It's actually really good. And then next up, we have our latest Bond film, No Time to Die. And I realize that this one is a little bit divisive, but I love this movie. Of course, I'm going to put it on the I love it tier, or love it tier, whatever you want to call it. I really do think this is a genuinely great movie because it's a very bold movie. For me, it's by far the most emotional Bond film yet. It definitely goes for a lot of things, and it worked. Like, I was watching the movie and I was like, oh, are they gonna do this? Are they gonna do this? And I said this in my review, so if you've seen it, I'm repeating some things, but they really did, and I think it worked. I do think that Rami Malek was a little bit underutilized, but every single time he was on the screen, I think that he totally, like, almost, I don't know if he stole the show, but he was just great. He was a very menacing guy. He just seemed very evil. The stuff he was doing was quite interesting, and his character's whole villainous plan didn't just feel like a bad guy who's evil, wants to take over the world. Like, it made sense. Daniel Craig quite possibly gave his best performance as Bond. The action was just, as always, stunning and just looked amazing. The stunts are just so realistic, and again, the emotions. I mean, I know two people that saw the movie that are my non-movie friends, and even them, they were like, oh my god, I almost cried in the movie, and that's how I felt as well. This movie is really great. I'm on the side that really loves it. Now, it's always a choice. Which is the better movie, Casino Royale or Skyfall? Well, coming in at number 2 for me is going to be Skyfall. Now, I know this is a lot of people's number 1, and I definitely see why. I do think it is the best looking James Bond film and has some of the greatest action sequences ever, but for me, Casino Royale does come in at number 1, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, I did a live watch along for both Casino Royale and Skyfall. I was like, 4.5 out of 5. I can't quite give it a 5 out of 5, but then when I thought about it more, I was like, no, there is no flaws with the movie. The movie is definitely flawless, and as I said, it just looks gorgeous. When I was watching it, I actually like had just one light on, kind of like this, and then as the movie kept going and it got into the more like silhouettes and the darker scenes in the third act, I just turned all the lights off, and I was like, I have to watch it. I was so immersed in the movie. I think that Javier Bardem plays one of the best Bond villains, very menacing, very different from what you would expect, but in a good way. And I think that just, you stick Roger Deakins with Sam Mendes, and come on, it has to be great. As always, Daniel Craig is my favorite Bond, so he is just amazing here. This movie is very dark, and it's a very bleak movie, but I mean that in the best way possible. Skyfall is an absolute masterpiece, but not my number one, because my favorite Bond film, one of my favorite action films of all time, is Casino Royale. Now, this movie is basically perfect. I don't have a single flaw with it. The entire time I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, I love this movie. I love this movie. If you were on my watch along, I just kept repeating it over and over again. The opening is the most different Bond opening, but the most creative one, I feel. I love how Martin Campbell and Daniel Craig really rebooted the character, but also reinvented it and made it more, grounded in reality. For me, Casino Royale is like the Batman Begins of the James Bond films. And for those who don't know, the Dark Knight trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time, so that's a massive praise here. I think that this is where Daniel Craig can really show his very, the smooth James Bond thing, but there's still stuff different with him, when the bartender asks, like, oh, do you want it shaken, not stirred? And he's like, do I look like I give a damn? He says something like that, and the movie is just like this perfect 3-act structure. I know people say this all the time, but you have the action, you have the love story, and you have the intense poker sequence, I will say. I won't call it a scene because it's a major chunk of the movie, and for me, I don't know how the hell poker works, but I was still so invested here. Also, Mads Mikkelsen's villain, I hope I said that right, is by far my favorite. Le Chiffre is easily the best Bond villain, in my opinion, and Vesper Lynd is easily the best Bond girl here because she's just as cool as James Bond. I think that's what takes like a Bond girl and just puts them on another level, because she's easily my favorite one, and obviously, she's very important when it comes to the other movies, but here, she feels so grounded and real, and that scene in the shower is just so emotional, and you fully understand everything that's going through her mind and Bond's. For me, Casino Royale is the best James Bond movie, and my ranking once again goes from best to worst: Casino Royale, Skyfall, No Time to Die, Spectre, and then Quantum of Solace. But now it is time to rank the songs here. Now, I'm going to use the same tier list here. I'm just going to reset it like this, and then it's going to probably glitch in all this. All right, so here we go. I had to just, put the titles back on it, and some of them are a little bit different, but you know what I'm getting here, and it's time to rank the songs. Now, this part of the video will obviously be shorter here. I don't have too much to say about every single song here, but I feel like this list may be a little bit unpopular, because coming in at last place for me is going to be Writing on the Wall from Spectre. Now, this song is the definition of a bland and just meh song for me. Now, Sam Smith is obviously an amazing singer. I think that they have a very, very good voice, but there are definitely times where in this song I was like, oh my god, please stop. And yes, they're a great person, and I don't want people to think it's like a personal thing with any of the singers here. I know that there will definitely be times on this list where my personal bias will get in the way, but sometimes in the song they just sing too high for I think the whole song, and it just really gets distracting, where it's like, it's almost like, it's something with the pitch. I don't even know how to fully describe it. And I know this won an Oscar, but for me, it's just, it's just not a song that I would ever want to put on again. It's the only Bond song, at least from the Daniel Craig ones, that I've only listened to once. And just like the Bond films, my number 4 pick is a pick that I think is super overhated. I actually really enjoy this song, and that is, of course, Another Way to Die from Quantum of Solace. Now, this is what I'm talking about with the bias. It is a Jack White song. It's Jack White and Alicia Keys. Jack White is probably, you can barely see it down there, but that's White Blood Cells down there. Jack White's probably my favorite musician of all time. I will totally admit, and I didn't even know that he did this Bond song. I just knew that when he originally wrote the Seven Nation Army riff, he just kind of kept it to himself, because he was like, oh, if I ever get asked to write a Bond song, I'm just going to use this. Obviously, he didn't, but I just think the delivery is really well done. Obviously, I love Jack White, and when it started playing in the movie and I heard the guitar, I went, this is definitely Jack White, because I've listened to everything the White Stripes have done. I've done videos on them. I've listened to everything that Raconteurs have done, and I'm going through his solo albums now, so I know a lot of his stuff, and I need to also listen to The Dead Weather, I think it's called. I think his voice mixes well with Alicia Keys. There are definitely times in the chorus where it doesn't work as well as expected, and some of the mix of some of the instruments is a little bit off at times, but I really love the distorted guitar. I think Jack White also played drums on this. I think Alicia Keys played piano, and of course she sounds amazing too. I know I'm talking more about Jack White, but she sounds amazing. She's a great singer. I don't really listen to her stuff, but she is a great singer. And people always complain about the lyrics and the delivery of it, and again, it's just one of those things that I don't understand. Now, next up is a song that a lot of people consider the best Bond song, and I can definitely see why. That is, of course, Skyfall from the movie Skyfall. Now, this song is incredible. I think it's the only Bond song out of all these besides the next one that I knew before going into it, and I've known this song ever since probably it was released. Like, I know that chorus, let the sky fall. I was just like, okay, I know this, and it is a fantastic song. I'm not the biggest Adele fan. I'm really not that big of a fan of her music at all, but she's a great person, and this song is by far the best work she's done. It's really the only one that I could see myself choosing to listen to over and over again. I think that as for like the credits and the way it works, it's so well put together. It, again, really sets the tone well for the movie. I think that's what makes a great Bond song, is that it sets the tone for the rest of the movie. That's what Skyfall does. Of course, the vocals are just amazing. Yes, even though I said I'm not the biggest Adele fan, her voice is still amazing, and this song, again, is her best one for me. Next up is a song by one of my favorite modern artists right now. That is, of course, Billie Eilish, and the song is No Time to Die. And maybe this is unpopular. I'm not 100% sure. I know that people will always give her crap for, being young, and they call this like Billie Eilish's whisper song, but I think that's stupid. I really loved her album this year, Happier Than Ever. I think it's one of the best albums of this year, but No Time to Die is quite possibly my favorite Billie Eilish song. And yeah, I'm more of a fan of her more recent music as compared to the older ones, but this song is unbelievable. I heard it for the first time last year when it was released, and I just fell in love with it. I think that even in the context of the movie and the way it plays out with the credits and the way that the lyrics match up with some of the designs, we'll say, in the credits, there were two in particular that I really noticed, and I was like, that is amazing. And of course, Billie Eilish is probably one of my favorite singers in general. Definitely modern. She's probably my favorite modern singer, like, and when it comes to her vocals specifically. And if I'm being completely honest, I probably would say her voice is one of my favorites of all time, and I think she was just the perfect pick here. And I love how the score, not just like the vocals, but the score also, I mentioned this in my review, kind of hides in the background of some scenes, or it builds up moments. I really love it. I know that Hans Zimmer had a whole part in it, of course, Phineas, her brother, and just, Billie Eilish is amazing. I love her. But of course, it's going to be my number one. Yes, it's my favorite Bond film, but it also is a song by my favorite singer of all time, Chris Cornell. He is my favorite voice of all time. My Name is by far my favorite Bond song. Of course, the intro to Casino Royale is very different from what we had seen before, but when Bond turns around and shoots the guy, and of course we get the great gun barrel scene, check out my review for my take on one, and then this song starts, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Chris Cornell started singing, and you can see it on my live. I was like, oh my god, it's Chris Cornell. It's the best singer ever. I'm a little Chris Cornell fanboy, I will totally admit, but I think his vocals here, once again, are great. The song's so good that he put it on one of his solo albums. I think it was probably his first or second. I know it's on the same album as Scar in the Sky, and it is an amazing song. It's definitely the one I've heard the most out of all these. No Time to Die is very close behind it. But when talking about setting the tone for the movie, obviously this is more of a rock and roll song compared to any of the other songs. We had like Live and Let Die. We had other songs like that. That was obviously the Paul McCartney song that are more rock, but this one was just like a straight up rock and roll song with still Bond elements in it. That's what I think makes it the best one. What is your ranking of the Bond films and the Bond songs? Let me know all that down below. You can rank them all if you've seen all the movies or listened to all the songs. I could have probably listened to all the songs, but I wanted to squish these into one video together. Yeah, the video will be a little bit longer, but oh well. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.